Clark and the Fever currently lead the WNBA in average game attendance and per-game TV viewership.
Stephen A. Smith just unleashed a rant so fiery it could melt an ice rink. Is the WNBA really plotting against Caitlyn Clark? Conspiracy or chaos? Grab your popcorn because this one's juicier than you think. So, Caitlyn Clark walked into the WNBA like a tornado in sneakers, and let's be real, this league hasn't been the same since. Before she even played a single game, ticket prices skyrocketed like they were powered by NASA. Teams that couldn't sell out a high school gym were suddenly hosting packed arenas. And if you wanted a front row seat, hope you've got Super Bowl money.
Reshaping culture, Caitlyn Clark, check. Breaking records, Caitlyn Clark, check.
Then came the ratings. Oh boy, the ratings. WNBA games featuring Clark have been pulling numbers like it's Game 7 of the NBA Finals. And let's talk about her game, because it's not just hype, it's history in motion. The step-back threes, the no-look passes, the "did she just do that?" moments. Clark has defenders spinning like they're trying to find Wi-Fi. Of course, with all this excitement, the WNBA suddenly found itself in an unusual situation. Everyone was talking about them. That's great, right? Well, apparently, not everyone was thrilled. Some players started acting like Clark crashed their party and ate the last slice of pizza.
This year, there's been 23 games with 1 million viewers more, and of course, it's all Caitlyn Clark.
But here's the thing. Caitlyn Clark isn't just changing the league, she's dragging it into the spotlight whether it's ready or not. The WNBA for years begged for more attention, more investment, more anything. And now they've got it, served up on a golden platter. More people are watching, more kids are picking up a basketball pretending to be her. And suddenly, ESPN isn't treating WNBA coverage like a commercial break. Sure, some veterans might side-eye the media circus around her, but let's be real. When one player can make your paycheck bigger, maybe the move isn't to hip check her into next week. The game is growing, the money is flowing. And if anything, Caitlyn Clark just did what 100 marketing campaigns couldn't: make the WNBA must-watch TV.
When Caitlyn Clark won Rookie of the Year, her teammates put a video together in which they spoke very highly of her.
Caitlyn Clark didn't just join the WNBA. She hijacked the entire sports world and turned the league into must-watch television. Before she showed up, WNBA games were averaging solid but unspectacular numbers. Now, she's pulling in viewership that's making NBA executives sweat. Let's talk numbers because they're insane. Clark's debut game drew 2.1 million viewers, making it the most-watched WNBA game in over 2 decades. The Fever versus Sky rematch, 3.4 million viewers. That's more than most NBA regular season games. Just to put that in perspective, her game outperformed some MLB playoffs and even some NHL Stanley Cup Finals matchups.
It was watched by an average audience of 3.4 million viewers, making it the largest audience ever for a WNBA All-Star game.
And it's not just TV ratings. Ticket sales have exploded like someone hit the Caitlyn Clark effect button. Indiana Fever road games are basically sold-out rock concerts now. Some of these teams couldn't fill up a high school gym last year, and now fans are shelling out Super Bowl money just to get a seat in the nosebleeds. The Las Vegas Aces, a 2-time defending champion squad, were practically giving away tickets last season. Now, thanks to Clark, good luck finding one for under $300. Even NBA players are noticing. Draymond Green went on his podcast basically begging NBA owners to start investing in the WNBA because Caitlyn Clark is proving there's real money in the league. And honestly, he's not wrong. The best part? Clark isn't even in her prime yet. She's still figuring out the pro game, adjusting to a league that's throwing everything at her, including cheap shots. And she's still the biggest attraction in basketball.
You know what the average attendance is when Caitlyn Clark plays home or the road?
What?
15,300.
The NBA better watch out because if the WNBA keeps this momentum, the gap is closing fast. And if Caitlyn Clark keeps pulling in these numbers, breaking records, and turning every game into a national event, don't be surprised if one day her game isn't just rivaling NBA viewership, it's beating it. But of course, with great power and deep threes comes great jealousy. The moment Caitlyn Clark started turning WNBA arenas into sold-out rock concerts, the haters came crawling out like it was their full-time job. Angel Reese, her old college rival, wasn't about to let Caitlyn steal all the headlines. Their beef, which started back in the NCAA, carried over like an unpaid parking ticket. Every time they faced off, you could feel the tension. Reese flexing, pointing, talking trash like she was narrating her own hype video. And let's be honest, we love a good rivalry. But somewhere along the way, it stopped being fun and turned into full-on war.
Angel's game is very, very different than Caitlyn's. If we're able to stop tying them together.
Then you had WNBA veterans and even coaches side-eyeing Clark like she cut them off in traffic. Indiana Fever head coach Christy Sides has been out here throwing more shade than a solar eclipse, acting like Clark's sudden fame is some kind of personal insult. And then there's a Connecticut Sun coach, Stephanie White, who basically called out the league for protecting Clark, as if Caitlyn's out here getting special treatment instead of getting clobbered every game like a piñata at a birthday party. The weirdest part? Players have been throwing elbows at Clark like she owes them rent money, and somehow she's the problem? Chennedy Carter's cheap shot, the constant body checks, the welcome to the WNBA rookie hazing. It's like some of these players are playing rugby while Clark's just trying to run the offense. And when fans call it out, suddenly it's our fault for noticing.
Caitlyn Clark's treatment by other players on the court is just getting to be egregious. Because as we saw Chennedy Carter.
The truth is, Caitlyn Clark is getting hated on because she's too good, too fast. She's breaking records, breaking ankles, and breaking the internet all at once. Some people can't stand that she's getting the media attention they always wanted. But let's be real, nobody was stopping them from draining 30-footers and turning their teams into sold-out attractions. Clark didn't steal the spotlight, she became the spotlight. And while some players are busy throwing shade, Caitlyn's busy throwing dimes. She isn't clapping back, she isn't crying about fouls, she's just dropping buckets and letting the numbers do the talking. Meanwhile, the WNBA is sitting on a gold mine, trying to figure out if they should embrace the hype or pretend Clark's impact isn't the story of the season. At the end of the day, the hate isn't slowing her down. It's just making the show even better, because nothing fuels greatness quite like a whole league full of people praying for your downfall. And if history has taught us anything, it's this. Betting against Caitlyn Clark? Bad idea. Stephen A. Smith also went full-on DEFCON 1, launching a rant so explosive it probably set off car alarms in 5 states. If you thought he was fired up about LeBron, the Cowboys, or Kwame Brown, oh, you haven't seen him this mad.
I will personally label the idiocy of Team USA women's basketball.
This time, it's about the WNBA and what he calls their anti-Caitlyn Clark agenda. Yes, you heard that right. Stephen A. is convinced that the league is treating Clark like an uninvited guest at their exclusive country club. And let's be real, the evidence is piling up like unpaid parking tickets. First, we got the hits. And no, not the highlight reel kind, actual hits. Chennedy Carter practically turned Caitlyn into a tackling dummy, and the refs just stood there like NPCs in a video game. Stephen A. saw that and lost it. He was practically screaming, "Where's the foul?" like a coach about to throw a clipboard. And then, as if that wasn't bad enough, the WNBA hit Caitlyn with a technical foul for existing too hard.
They were resentful of the fact that this white girl came on the scene where there was a bunch of sisters that preceded her, spanning decades.
Then he started going off on how the league itself seems to be sitting back, watching Clark get bodied like this is a WWE Royal Rumble instead of a basketball game. According to Stephen A., the WNBA should be rolling out a red carpet for Caitlyn, not letting her get clotheslined every other game. And don't get him started on the coaches and past players. Some of them, like Cheryl Swoops, sound like they'd rather run a marathon in flip-flops than give Caitlyn Clark any credit. Meanwhile, Angel Reese is out here throwing shade like she moonlights as a tree, and other players are acting like Caitlyn personally raised their rent.
All Cheryl Swoops did was validate all the speculation that there's folks hating on Caitlyn Clark.
But Stephen A. wasn't done. Oh no. He took a deep breath and hit the league where it really hurts, the ratings. He laid it out plain and simple. Caitlyn Clark is the reason the WNBA is booming. She's the reason people who couldn't name one WNBA team last year are suddenly arguing about rookie stats. The money, the sold-out arenas, the record-breaking TV numbers, all Caitlyn. So Stephen A. had a message for the WNBA. Don't mess this up. He said if the league keeps letting Caitlyn get hacked like a 2003 MySpace account and refuses to protect her, they'll regret it when the hype train derails. And honestly, the man has a point. Caitlyn Clark is the biggest thing to ever happen to the WNBA, and if the league doesn't stop treating her like a crash test dummy, they might just fumble the biggest bag in basketball history.
A lot of people say that Caitlyn Clark moves the needle. That is wrong. She is the needle.
The question is, what happens next? Does the WNBA finally realize Caitlyn Clark is their ticket to the big leagues? Will Stephen A. ever calm down? One thing's for sure, this drama is just getting started and we're all here for the chaos. Oh, and don't just sit there, drop a comment. We'd love to hear from you. And if you're loving the madness, hit that subscribe button just like Chennedy Carter hit Caitlyn.